so much for participating in our educational interview. My first question is, please state your name and where you are originally from.
My name is Filiz and I'm from Turkey.
Filiz, when did you move here and why did you choose to come to America?
I moved here 2 years ago, so August 2012, so it's my second year here. Why I chose America because of the level of Ph.D. education here. So I'm a psychology major and specializing in cognitive and brain sciences, shortly cognitive neuroscience, and here is kind of where it started at, and the techniques I've been using here is more wider. And there are a lot of faculty who knows what they're doing here compared to my home country where the cognitive neuroscience area is just starting to developing.
All right, so you followed the research, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I followed the research.
For
And
cognitive
it led me here.
neuroscience. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's nice to have you here. What are some of your first impressions of UNR? Now you've been here for a little bit now.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, sure.
And have you traveled to the U.S. before?
No, that was my first time.
Okay.
So I immediately came to Reno.
First time
Yeah,
to
first
the
time.
U.S. and you're living in Reno.
Yep.
Excellent. How are you liking it so far?
I'm liking it so right now. Actually, it wasn't like that when I first moved here. Actually, it was a little bit different than where I'm from. It was much a smaller city where I used to grow up and where I used to study in Turkey. So that was kind of weird at first, but it took me a little time to adjust here. Now I really like it here.
Nice. Very good. What were some ways that you had to adjust that seemed so different, and maybe there was a challenge with the new environment, the new city or the new school?
Well, first of all, the fact that I have to drive everywhere was a challenge. I mean, I used to drive in Turkey as well, but not as often as this. It wasn't my way of commute to school or work because, we had a wider public transportation because it was a bigger city. So it was a challenge to get adjusted. Traffic is a little bit different, not totally different. We use the left side of the road as well. Right side of the road, so it's not a big difference, but there are a couple of differences, and actually I had an accident in my very first week here with my car.
Oh,
and my car got totaled, so it wasn't a really pleasant experience, but it led me to pay more attention to rules here.
I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
It was just my car.
Oh, wow. So totaled your car the first week you were here.
Yes. Actually, second week I was here because first week I was just looking for cars, and that was another challenge. To look for cars without having a car, or look for a place to live without having a car was just so difficult, but luckily my friends from my lab helped me on that.
Oh, okay. So people from your lab here at the university
Yeah.
helped out.
Yeah.
Did you know anybody else, any friends or family in the area?
No.
Okay.
No, but I was in contact with the Turkish community here. Well, I didn't know them before, but I met them here and they were also really helpful as well.
So would you recommend to a future international student preparing to come to the U.S., what would you recommend to them about transportation or making connections with people already here?
Yeah, so it's really important if they can find some people from their home country that they have been living here for a period of time. That will be really helpful because they would have gone through the similar challenges, the very similar challenges, not like any other international students. That's important. And also if they can reach out some Americans living here which they are going to work with or study with, is really beneficial, at least in my case, because for example when I first moved here I stayed at my lab member's house, whom I never met before, but she was so kind enough to offer me a space so that I didn't have to stay in a hotel.
Yeah.
And it will be also really bad for the transportation here.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. I have many international students who have to stay in a hotel for the first 2 weeks of the semester
Yeah.
while they are trying to find housing, which is very difficult
It is
because
very
all the
difficult.
students are here and they've already got their
Mhm.
residence.
Yeah.
On top of trying to figure out the whole school system and their new classes and everything, and transportation.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a lot of new stress.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
first 2 weeks, like usually going from one building to another, doing some paperwork, getting like the keys to your lab and stuff, getting some signatures needed, getting the health things taken care of. It's like a lot to do in the very first week, so it's good to have some people
Yeah,
who would help you on that.
definitely. Now, did you use the Office of International Students and Scholars for applying to the university and help with visa and an orientation?
Actually, not really, because I came here with Fulbright
Oh,
scholarship.
right, okay.
So Institute of International Education is working with Fulbright, so they are my sponsor, so they help me with the visa processing.
Excellent.
Well, Office of International Scholars and Students helped me after I came here, because they also had connection with Fulbright. For example, they gave me my first paycheck from Fulbright.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Okay, good. Now, besides transportation and trying to find a place to live, what were some of the other challenges that you can remember when you first arrived?
Oh, definitely adjusting the time difference and missing the family and friends. I mean, adjusting the time difference, I don't mean jet lag, but to calculate what the time is at your home country, and in my case it is 10 hours, so it's not always so easy to calculate it, but now I'm really good at it. And then like trying to make a time to talk with my parents, because I can only talk with them either in 2 hours window at night or a 3 hours period in the morning.
Mhm.
So I had to adjust that and let them know I'm okay.
Yeah.
Well, they are much more responsive to my calls, but with my friends who doesn't have like really schedules, so organized schedules, it was harder to communicate with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harder to connect and,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
find the matching time.
Mhm.
Besides scheduling your time to communicate with friends and family back home and coping and managing that way, what other resources were available to you to cope with the transition, to manage the transition and the challenges that came with moving to Reno?
Well, I got some help from the health center, actually, the counseling and health center.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that was really helpful to me. Actually, that happened not immediately after I moved here, but there's this cultural shock period. Like when you first came here, it's different, it's good, it's exciting, but after a while, that excitement just decreases. And at that point, I needed some professional help, and university's counseling services were so great to help me on that.
Absolutely. Did you hear that? Counseling services. And that's free, included in our student tuition.
Yeah, it is free.
I'm a huge fan of it, and I recommend all of my international students to seek it out,
Yeah.
even though the majority of my international students don't use the
Really?
counseling center.
Well, as being a psychology major, I know how beneficial it will be, and I experienced how beneficial it was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you were able to talk to some professionals through those culture shock and homesickness kind of stages.
Yeah, and other challenges that came with them,
Mhm.
like adjusting to the workload here as a Ph.D. student, like
That has a lot of stress with it.
Yeah, a lot of, and increasing my motivation to be able to continue with
That's
that
That's right.
program. Yeah.
That's right. Besides talking to the professionals, what were some other helpful ways to get through those challenging times?
To make friends here,
Make friends?
Yeah.
So get involved?
get involved with this culture, And I feel really lucky about that. Not only my lab, but my whole program has really nice people in it. So I can say that I made lifelong friendships here just in 2 years. Not even 2 years yet, like 1.5 years, and they were really helpful. Like I got invited to Thanksgiving dinners, which I never had before because we don't have Thanksgiving in Turkey. So with those American traditions, being with American friends were really helpful as well. And now when I go back to my home country, for example, this summer I was there for 1 month, and I miss my friends here.
Nice. I like that a lot.
Social support is so important in every aspect of life.
Yes, that's right.
Especially in a more challenging event like that.
Now, after what, over a year and a half,
Mhm.
you've been here.
Mm-hmm.
What are some current challenges that you face as an international student?
Well, current challenges still including missing family and friends, but I'm trying to overcome that by traveling, which is not that economical actually, given the fact that I live on the other side of the world,
Yeah.
but it helps to my mental health, so I'm trying to do it. And other than that, the other